could just check it out. Just search JSTASH or just search Relax Records.
I just be jigging these bands. I just be jigging these bands. Jigging these bands.
I be in the trap with them real niggas. Low key moving.
Alright, welcome back to Hot Topics TV, y'all. You already know, hit the subscribe button if you've never been here before. And hit the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified every time a new video goes up on Hot Topics TV. And you know, if the topic is hot, we are on it. Rapper JSTASH found dead after allegedly killing a woman in front of her children. I know everybody already seen the headline that says killed his girlfriend, but we're going to get into all that, their relationship, how long they had been together, if they have children together, or her children's from somebody else, etc., and all that. Here we go. Shout out to the New York Post. Rapper JSTASH allegedly murdered a woman in front of her 3 kids before killing himself with a gun. This is from the police report. JSTASH, whose real name was Justin Joseph, died in Temple City, California on Saturday. He was 28 years old. Now, according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, cops heard a report of domestic violence at 7:14 a.m. in the morning on New Year's Day. What a way to start the New Year's, on the first day of the new year. So you know they were already having problems before this. Deputies found the bodies of Jeanette Gallegos, 27 years old, and Joseph, the rapper, who is JSTASH, both dead at the scene. Reports are that Stash had an argument with Gallegos, his girlfriend, and he led her into the master bedroom of the house that they shared, where he locked the door. Their bodies were found in that same room with the door locked. So apparently it was not done directly in front of the children, because he led her in the room and locked the door with them both in it, and none of them made it out of the room. The children were not in that room where the door was locked. The female victim, according to the reports, sustained multiple gunshot wounds, while JSTASH, the male victim, sustained 1 apparent self-inflicted gunshot wounds. This is what the deputy noted, and this was also reported in People magazine. Now, right now, the evidence at the scene and the preliminary information we have from the children, because the children are speaking in the home, is that it turns out to be a murder-suicide. And this is what Lieutenant Derek Alfred told KTLA News on January 1st of the incident. The 3 children ranged from ages 5 to 11. JSTASH was 28 years old and were uninjured. There are reports floating around out there that the children were also injured. According to this report, the children were ages 5 to 11 and none of them were injured. When authorities arrived at the home, the children were removed and they were sent to live with close relatives. According to the Associated Press, they reported that one of the kids called their grandmother, who told them, "Call 911, baby." However, it's unknown if the call was made before or after Gallegos was killed. So they're speculating that maybe one of the kids had called grandma and said, "Hey, grandma, it's getting violent over here," or, you know, they didn't know the details of that phone call as yet. Or was the call made after they heard the gunshots and silence in the room? Kids traumatized, probably called grandma, and, you know, grandma said, "Call the police." Joseph had been dating the mom. Joseph, the rapper, JSTASH, had been dating the mom of the children for roughly about a year before their death. Roughly about a year. So obviously those are not his children, right? Gallegos' family started a GoFundMe page to raise money for her funeral expenses, and they are grieving over the situation. Naturally, the page was started by Gallegos' sister, who is Erica Chavez, and Erica wrote that, with a heavy heart, my sister passed away on January 1st of 2022, a tragic and unexpected loss for my family and my nephews. God has gained another angel. She said my nephews. She didn't say my nephew and niece or nephews and nieces, so I'm guessing that all the children were all boys. The post continued. It said, my sister was full of life. She was the sweetest, most caring person, always there for everyone who needed her. Her favorite quote was, live today because tomorrow is not promised. That's what she used to say all the time. My sister leaves behind 3 beautiful boys, there you have it, who will have to continue living life with what's left, the memories created with them and their mom, her sister Chavez said. Right now, a police investigation is still ongoing, and there should be more information coming out as to what actually took place. Now, remember, the children are between 5 and 11. So an 11-year-old can string a tale. In other words, an 11-year-old can pretty much tell or describe what was happening inside of their household over the period of the year that they had been together. Another classic case. She has 3 children. None of them are his. Young man moved into the house. She's young also. They're only a year or a couple of months to a year apart in age. The victim and the alleged perpetrator, JSTASH. They're only almost a year apart. So, and they're both young, 28 and 27, right? But how quickly you move a man into, and I'm not saying this to blame her, the victim, because I don't want this to be a victim blame thing. What I do want to talk about, though, stemming from this situation, is the fact that this continues to happen. It happened recently in Philadelphia, where a man gunned down his girlfriend in front of her children, and then it happened again recently where a man killed himself last after killing his pregnant girlfriend and his ex-wife on video, right? On social media, live. So the message in all this is, these men are actually leaving behind a message. The one that killed his wife, his ex-wife, and his pregnant girlfriend, he was working in the medical field, highly educated. He had a master's degree. You know, he was out there doing his thing. He left a profound message where he said, stop playing with these men. Stop playing with people's hearts and emotions. Stop using the children as pawn, as weapons. And I remember in the video, before he went off to take the life of his ex-wife, who he said started all of that in his life in the first place, because she had accused him of molesting their children out of vindictiveness, not because he actually did it. And it got him into a dark place because he had to fight through the court system to prove his innocence, and there was nothing done to her as the accuser who accused him of this heinous crime. A father sexually molesting his own children is just as nasty as it gets. And that's a deep accusation that can definitely ruin someone's life, right? It can have your medical license canceled, whereas you cannot go to work, earn the living that you're supposed to earn, even though you still have child support to pay, until you resolve that case. However long, the court system will drag that case before it comes to a close. Guilty, innocent, based on evidence and investigation, etc., etc. That's a hell of a road to send somebody down. And then I was watching this interview where a woman came out and confessed. After many years, her daughters are grown. I believe it was 3 girls. Tamara something is the name of the talk show. And I remember specifically how that man cried. And then the woman said she was just mad. She was just upset because he moved on with his life after they broke up, you know? And she came up with telling their daughters, at little young girls, that your daddy had always sexually molested you, so we had to leave him. And based on that, he never had a relationship with his daughters. His daughters were the most precious thing to him, and she said she knew that. And she knew that if she was going to leave him, he wouldn't care, because their relationship was that bad. He would not care if she had left. The only thing he would have cared about was his 3 daughters. So she was bitter, and she admitted all this. She was bitter, and she was trying to find a way to hurt him. And she went about doing it that way. So back to the brother who left the message before he did what he did, taking the life of his pregnant girlfriend and his ex-wife, and then himself, the one that worked in the medical field recently on live for everyone to see. Back to what he said. Stop playing games with these children. Stop using the children as pawn. Stop getting men emotionally involved. Stop using men and then their feelings being inconsiderate. Playing games, dangerous games, are being played. And sometimes some women, they see what it could become, but they pursue anyways, as in continuing with the same behaviors. Listen, again, this is not about blaming the victim video. My condolences goes out to her family. My condolences goes out to the children who are left behind now to deal with this horrific memory that they must live through. My condolences goes out to her family for losing their loved one. You know, it's a sad situation all around. My condolences even goes out to JSTASH's family, because what mind frame must he have been in? You know, there's 2 levels to this. You have depression, and then you have clinical depression. Some people are depressed, no longer interested in doing art and running track and field, even though I love art and track and field is my passion. Okay, you're in a slump. You're in a sunken place. You're going through some depression. Clinical depression, though, is when you start to think of killing yourself and the person who you've chosen to kill, because maybe they were the ones that are responsible for you feeling this way, and you're feeling hurt and jilted by this person, etc., etc. We don't know, but it seems like, if anything, JSTASH had already gone to that place of clinical depression in order to do this. Either that, or he was some type of a narcissistic, sadistic person from the get-go. End of this all, I would like to say, start making better choices, especially to women who have children, and you have children by other men. Bringing another man into your life is a heavy decision. I'm not telling you to not do it. You know what's best for you. I'm just telling you that it's a heavy decision. That's why I place extra emphasis on the respect that I give to grown women who have raised their children already, and their backstory is, I used to be married to their dad. We went through a divorce. After that, and he left and went his separate way, I raised these children by myself. My daughters, or my daughter and sons, have never seen a man in our house, and I did that on purpose, because I didn't want to have to deal with, I've had many of these stories before. I didn't want to have to deal with a man coming in, pretending he's in love with me, and then molesting any of my children. Those are horror stories that I've heard before. So when my divorce came and I ended up alone, the thought of bringing a man into my house with my children, besides their dad, never crossed my mind. We can date, we can see each other on the outside, and if I'm going to go see him, I will go see him or spend the night or spend time at his house. Grown people do grown people things. But to move him in and have us cohabitating and living in the same environment as the children, now these children psychologically have to deal with, okay, my dad used to be in my mom's bed. Now there's another man in my mom's bed that I have to get used to, and he is playing dad role in the family, but I know who my real dad is. That's complicated within itself, that dynamic alone. So if a sister can help herself to not even move in with a guy or have a guy move in with her and her children, then I would suggest that she does just that, right? We don't know the backstory 100%, but whatever it was, it led to this. And again, my condolences to the family. It's sad. I never heard of this guy as a rapper, so I don't want to be a hypocrite and be like, oh, his music was dope and he was really talented. Up to doing this video, I still have not checked to see what music he had put out and what body of work is out there for them to label him in the media as a rapper. Everybody is a rapper nowadays. But was he signed to a record label? Was he doing shows? Was he getting paid to perform? That type of stuff, I don't know yet. But I'll do a follow-up. And I'll be back with part 2. And hopefully that will have way more information than this part. We learn from those before us. Let this be a lesson on both sides. Men, walk away. I'm out. Hit that subscribe button. It's Hot Topics TV.